Let's look at the teams that people are using to clear Pure Fiction to get the full stars. So this is just for the 4th stage over here, both sides, stage 1 and stage 2, whichever you are on, and you can see first things first is everyone is playing Jingliu, which is very frustrating because if you don't have Jingliu, you're probably not even going to be speaking to the majority of people. So what's nice about it is I'm going to add my value also. I'm not just going to be reading off these stats, right? Anyone can do that. I'm going to add my value and help it break it down very simply and tell you what to do if you do not have these meta characters too. Okay, so first things first, you want to ignore anything that is under 30k. If the average is less than 30k, chances are that team is not really good. So a lot of people are playing these teams, but they are not very good. Because 30k is what you need to get a 3-star clear, and you can see first thing at these 3 or the Jingliu teams that everyone is like slapping in the memory of chaos. If you slot it here, you are not going to hit that 3 stars. So straight away, ignore this like first 4. What is very attractive is looking at this massive 38k, and you can see the difference that Argenti Hyper Carry makes already, and that is the first thing that I want you to take away. Argenti is probably like the GOAT, the king of Pure Fiction, and if you have him, definitely consider using him. Everyone is trying their best to use Jingliu in the first half, but to not much avail. The only team composition that hits that 30k mark is probably a Blade Jingliu Hyper Carry, which I mentioned in many of my videos as probably one of the best teams in the game. Jingliu Blade, this is probably like one of my main teams as well. But you can see straight away that if you deviate away from like Jingliu teams into Argenti teams, you will get very easily that 30k. So there's a clear meta of how you can do it. Jingliu is not fantastic, but she still works fairly well, especially if your second half is good. So the question is, what is good in the second half? If everyone is playing Jingliu in the first half and getting less than 30k on average, what actually bridges that gap? So if you scroll down here, the first team that a lot of people are playing is a Kafka Himiko team. This team is insanely strong. I use this in my clears as well. This is insanely good. You have lightning, you have fire from Himiko. Of course, it's very expensive because you need Ranmei, you need Fuxuan, or you need Huohuo. As you can see here, you can like switch around whether you want Fuxuan or Huohuo. But by and large, if you have Kafka, you have Himiko, these teams are clearing very easily more than 34k. And if you can't, you don't have like Kafka, Himiko, maybe you don't have luck, you can slap in Zila. It's also a 30k clear with a good amounts of appearances that people are using. The statistics is of course out of the 3,400 teams, which is a lot more than what we saw in the Memory of Chaos, which is only like 1,000 people clearing. So by statistics, I guess it's kind of easier to clear Pure Fiction for most people. But let's take out the obvious characters, shall we? Like if we have Jingliu, you probably won't be having such a high amount of difficulty. So let's take him out. And let's take a character out, for example, like Argenti, because not many of us have Argenti clear, and this is where it gets a little interesting. Look at the first half. From a whole Jingliu row and an entire Argenti row, we now start to see very unique characters that are in the first half. You have a Herta as your DPS, and it's quite a large amount of appearances. So if you have Herta, you have Pella, you have a character like Ranmei. This Ice team is amazingly strong. To clear the Pure Fiction in the first half. Just slap both of them on and you can just copy what everyone is doing. These are 4-star characters, by the way, so very, very easy. If you have Clara, even better. You slap in Clara, you don't even need Fuxuan. And in this like team here, the second team, rank 22, is also above a 30k. And standard characters, you just need Ranmei, who is currently on banner or maybe just ended depending on where you are. Hopefully you have Ranmei as well, because she's like in the top 3 popular categories as well. So very, very strong. If you don't have Clara, you don't have Ranmei, you don't have Fuxuan maybe, or you have other characters, you can consider running a Zila team in the first half. People are also clearing that. For example, this one, you don't have Fuxuan, you can always slap in like Luota here. I think you can like Fuxuan, Luota and Huohuo are kind of a little bit inter-exchangeable. So it's up to you, but as you can see, a lot of them are above 30k clears. Unfortunately, Imbibitor Lune looks like he's struggling a bit. So the characters that I would suggest here is characters, for example, in the first half, you want to play characters like Jingliu, you want to play characters like Argenti, excellent units. Pella works very well too, especially with Herta, and these 4 characters probably will be your main go-to first, and then followed by Clara in the 5th slot as well. Characters that generally work well across in the first half will, for example, be units like Ranmei. Ranmei can be really played on either half of the floor. I think these 2 units are like super, super strong. As you can see, just these 4 characters, all of these characters in any combination gets you very nicely into a 30k clear, except maybe Jingliu might struggle a little bit more than others depending on the resources that you have. But Clara, as you see, Clara here versus Pella already bumps it up. So if you have Herta, Herta instead of Pella bumps it up. If you have Herta, consider building her. If you always like that Guru, this is the best time to build it, right? So that aside, let's now look and turn our attention to the second half, because now that we have like a mix of free-to-play characters, we can look at the second half and who are people playing. The first thing I know to look at this like wall of Fucc over here. Insane amount of people playing Fucc, Huo, and a few of you are also like playing, a few of us are also playing like full DPS teams. As you can see, this rank 8 here, it cleared very well, because in a pure fiction you don't exactly need to have characters surviving. You just need to get as much points as you can. If one character dies, it's totally fine. That's not a big thing. So people are running a lot of DPS. It's just 4 rounds. Chances are not your whole roster is going to die in 4 rounds, as long as you play it decently well. And most people are playing Jingyuan. Jingyuan is okay. He's like Jingliu, I guess. You struggle a little bit because it's slightly under 30k, but it can get you your 2 stars in floor 4. So that is not too bad. Zealer Hyper Carry is also struggling a little bit, 25k here, especially without some signature characters. You have Jingyuan here with full Hyper Carry. Basically, if you have Runmei, it's a lot easier. If you don't have Runmei, it's a lot harder, as you can see here. So to value add to you guys in the second half, let's take out Runmei, because not everyone has Runmei, right? And you want to know your options. Very quickly, you can see in the second half, your options diminish very quickly. If you take out Argenti, you take out Jingliu, you take out Runmei, your options start to become very few. Very few of them are less than 30k clears, which means your first half has to make up for that deficit by a large margin. So you can do it by having Argenti, who clears like 38k, 37k on average. If you don't have Argenti, you definitely want to look for Herta to help you bump up to at least a 32k in the first half, and you can see the average of the rest of them. This is of course taking average stats, which means if you have godlike gear, maybe your luck is way better than mine, then of course you'll be slightly above average. But this is just plain and simple average, if you guys are wondering. Zealer here with Bronya, very strong, still usable with Tingyun and as well as Fucc. I think Zealer does very well still, is because when she kills a squishy, she gets to act again, she gets damage buff, which plays very nicely in the pure fiction because the monsters are squishy. So that is pretty nice. Jingyuan teams, a lot of people are running them, but they are not finding a huge amount of success. You can see the only Jingyuan team that goes above 30k is with Himiko. And so the key is actually like Himiko instead of the other one. So let me just show you, for example, let's select let's deselect these ones. Let's deselect Zealer. Let's deselect Jingyuan. Where's my Jingyuan? And let's deselect Runmei. So now let's see some of the rosters and how close it can be. If you have Himiko, you immediately, as you can see, you can get a 30k clear. If you don't have Himiko, it drops. Like Kafka only is like 26, Kafka Hyper Carry, but Kafka and Himiko 29k, Himiko Hyper Carry is like 32k, you have Himiko Kafka with no sustain 31k, Himiko basically like doing tons of work. Kafka without Himiko and instead putting Guinaifen as an alternative. Guinaifen is of course like a AoE fire damage dealer. You still can find some success, 25k, which means your first half needs to carry you hard. But that is some people are playing. If you don't have Himiko, Guinaifen is definitely a good option too. But of course, if you have Himiko, play her in the second half. Very easy. If you don't have Kafka, you have Himiko, you can choose to opt for a Himiko to get a servile build. This also works really well. I think it's super solid. So let me just take out some Kafka here, since maybe some of you husbando lovers are not playing Kafka. In that case, let me give you some further options. As you can see, everything still is Himiko. Himiko is like dominating the second half very well. Let's take her out as well, because we kind of already found that out. But as you can see, if we take out all the other characters, you can tell that if you don't have these particular units over here, Argenti, Jingliu, Kafka, Runmei, Zealer, Himiko or Jingyuan, you will struggle a little bit in the second half, which means your first half have to carry as hard as you can. The only alternative I have, a saving grace for you free-to-play players that do not have this, is a servile hyper carry. Consider doing this, you can be closest to 30k and preach that your first half carries you very well. But anyways, this is just my analysis and I hope that you found this video helpful. Do check it out from start to end if you are always wondering like what character is better than the other. Anyways, let me know if you appreciate this kind of content. I try to make it better for everyone so everyone can understand. And anyways, thank you so much for watching. Check out our other video for Memory of Chaos if you like this format, and see you in the next video.